What's going on, R Space fans? Today we've got a few stories that I hope you enjoy, so I'm just going to get right to it. First up, I discovered a text by accident on an old iPhone that belonged to my wife. The text was sent to a coworker of hers 5 years ago. I'm 38 and my wife 32. At the time of this incident, we were 33 and 27. She and this coworker friend knew each other from university, and she told me there has always been feelings between them. Fate was not on their side, as whenever one was single, the other was in a relationship. He did try and kiss my wife once, but she refused, as he had a girlfriend at that stage. The year after she finished her studies, we met and fell in love. She moved 1,000 kilometers to be with me, and she is my soulmate and best friend. My wife found a job at a prestigious private school as an art teacher. Unbeknownst to me, this friend of hers also worked at that same school. We were married soon after and had a deep connection between us. Around 6 months after our honeymoon, I was going through a dark time as I lost a parent and felt the need to grow my business so I could provide a very comfortable life to my wife and future children. I worked very hard and my stress levels were very high. I always smoked a spliff after work to relax and get rid of stress. I did this when we met, and it was never an issue. In my dark time, I did smoke more, but because it helped me de-stress, and she was not at home due to work. My wife's school was a very prestigious school, and hence the teachers worked very hard. 2 to 3 nights a week, they had functions, and weekends were also mostly school activities or work, so she only had time for work. She started blaming me for all our problems, and this led to me believing for years that I was at fault for our problems, and was sad that I made her unhappy for a period in our marriage. She said I did not communicate with her or gave her enough attention. The message I discovered was sent by her after a farewell party for this coworker. He immigrated. She basically told him how great he is, that he understood her, and she will always love him. She thanked him for all his support and being a great friend. She told him his wife was a lucky woman and that she will miss him terribly. The one that stood out was that she told him the reason she was avoiding him recently was regarding something they discussed 6 weeks prior. I immediately woke my wife and confronted her about this. She explained that at a wedding 6 weeks before the farewell, she told him that she has always had feelings for him, and if circumstances were different in their history, that she thinks they would have been a great couple. Now, I was at the same wedding with her, and I feel that she disrespected me in a big way to discuss something like this while I'm nearby. She tells me this is the reason she avoided him for 6 weeks, as she realized it was wrong for her to tell him. That's all the messages I could find, except one where he responded that he remembered the conversation and wanted to discuss it alone with her. Since then, he has been living overseas and there is no communication. I was upset, more due to the fact that she refused to acknowledge that she did something wrong. She admitted that during the difficult time, she was enjoying his attention and they discussed things that is meant for a spouse. She did complain about me to him, and he was a very sympathetic ear. This caused our connection to fade and caused endless problems. This was the real cause for the problems, not me, and this made me furious. We did not have sex, and when I tried to kiss or hold her, she would react angry at me. She slept in another room and avoided me. I feel that she shared things with him that was meant for me. She chose to get to know him very well while drifting away from me. I'm 100% certain it was never physical, as all this happened when he was on his way overseas. And my wife is an angel that will not be able to hide something like that from me. In previous situations, when guys tried to kiss her, she immediately told me. As this was 5 years ago, she claims to not remember a lot of details, but I did get the following explanation. I did not give her enough attention, so she sought attention from him. He gave it, and she enjoyed that he made sure she always had a drink, walked her to her car, and made sure she was okay. She was well aware that he liked her and would jump at the opportunity to have more of her. She said she used him for emotional support, and it was wrong of her. They were rarely alone, but would sit and chat for hours at parties or functions where other people were always present. They discussed dreams, relationships, and when she was mad at me, she vented and complained about me with him. They got to know each other very well, and he got her, and she understood him. She is adamant she never acted on her feelings for him and chose me, not him. I feel confessing your feelings to someone else is acting on it. She apologized and admitted the text was wrong to send, and she would be very hurt should I have done the same. The text was the only inappropriate thing she did. She insisted she did not seek him out to be with him and never opened herself up to even consider taking it further with him. There was one incident where a group of teachers worked late and had drinks after the function. They all decided to sleep over at his place rather than driving drunk. He told her to sleep in his bed and she felt uncomfortable enough to ask another girl teacher to sleep in the middle of the bed between them. I forgave her and moved on with our lives, working hard to make sure we communicate, and our marriage is great 5 years later. The thing is, I get angry from time to time. Am I wrong to feel this way? She gave emotional energy to someone else while I desperately needed support. She betrayed my trust by telling him things that should have stayed in our marriage. She discussed feelings, dreams, etc. with another man. And more importantly, she told him about her feelings and hid this from me. She put energy into getting to know this guy, by her and his words very well. Both stated they just get each other like very few people. All because she felt I neglected her and did not give her enough attention. Fair enough, it is true, I was not the perfect husband, but I had this stress endured in this low point in my life for her, so she would never have to struggle. Now we have 2 beautiful children. Financially, we're very strong, and I have built 3 businesses, all for her and the kids' future. She did not notice I needed help, and by complaining, fighting, giving minimal intimacy and love to me, made an emotional rock, and I had to get out of the hole by myself. I feel she did not notice as she was focused on work and received the emotional support elsewhere. I know this is minor compared to other people's stories and experiences. I'm lucky it never went further, and my wife did not allow it to. We are happy, and she is a wonderful wife and mother. This just changed the way I look at her, and I hate that. Any thoughts, please? What would you have done or thought should your spouse have done the same? That's an interesting question. Tell us what you think down in the comments. Meanwhile, I'm moving on to the next story. My, 30 male, girlfriend, 28 female, of almost 10 years, has been cheating with a 50 male former coworker for months. September of this year would have made 10 years with a girlfriend. We have been together since college. We are the only people we have each been with for more than a few months. The only people we had each slept with. We have grown into adults together, experienced all life has to offer, both good and bad. Last March, right before Corona hit, we sold our house and moved from a small town in a rural state to the suburbs of a much more populated state outside of a major city for a promotion I got. She was hesitant to go, but we wanted to have new life experiences and see what living in a more populated area had to offer, so we went for it. When COVID hit, she couldn't find a job for months. She finally did, but was not happy with it. Her mental health declined, and as I was working 6 to 7 days a week as a manager for an essential business during the pandemic. At the start of November, she said she had a mental breakdown at work and couldn't go back for a while. She then left for 8 nights unannounced and did not communicate much at all. Said she was staying with her one good work friend, but there were other people with them doing drugs. They were working on getting another friend into rehab. I was shocked and worried because this was not like her at all. She comes back for a week, tries going back to work and can't even make it a full day. Quits. At this point, she's apologizing, saying she needs to focus on her mental health. She has to get through this on her own, needs some time and space, ends up getting her own place without telling me, moves out most of her stuff. The whole time I'm trying to support her, be there for her, give her space, whatever she needs. She keeps apologizing. I knew something was going on. A month later, one of her former coworkers Facebook messaged me a picture of her and this guy taking a selfie. Says she's sorry, but I needed to know. Says they have been seeing each other since September. The guy is married, with kids, and his wife had cancer not long ago. Says he's also a recovering addict who relapsed at the start of the year. She finally calls and confesses the next day after I messaged her about it. Says they're in love. Her, a 28 female, is in love with a 50 male, recovering, maybe, married drug addict. He treats her right and takes care of her in ways I don't. He's almost certainly manipulating her. I think this all stems from the passing of her father in 2018 from his own cancer battle. She has never grieved and processed any of that trauma. She also has childhood trauma from her mother being a drug addict. Daddy issues, lots of trauma, depression means she is an easy target for abuse and manipulation. We're obviously done for good, but I wanted to share my story because I feel that it is an unnatural one and I'm feeling alone in a place without friends or family to talk to right now. But wait, there's more. Here's update 1. Looking back, I have been enabling her and haven't seen it for so long. Many of you said this is just as much her fault as it is his, if not more. You are right. Mental illness, anxiety, depression are all valid, but don't make her actions okay. The coworker that contacted me said the wife and family know and are obviously very hurt. I am going to go for an STD test as well as seek therapy. Our lease was up after February, but the landlord had someone interested and said she would pay me back for the last month if I can leave, so I will be finding a new place ASAP. All passwords changed, joint accounts taken care of, credit was already frozen. I think I have everything covered as far as that goes. Last I knew, the not getting married question would come up. We have actually been engaged since December of 2016. Her father's cancer came back early 2017, and he died March 2018. She hasn't been in any headspace since to get married. We were planning again for 2020, but we moved, and then COVID hit. I had my reservations about getting married before she fixed her mental health and anxiety issues, as well as her letting her physical fitness completely go downhill as well. I know now it wasn't ever going to get fixed with us together and me there for her. This is all a valuable experience and is for the best, as most of you have said. But wait, there's even more with update 2. After finding out the day after Christmas, I spent the next week going back and forth with my ex about different things, splitting phone plans, bank accounts, her taking the rest of her stuff, etc. I wanted this to end, so I finally agreed to drive to their place so her and I could make a few calls to square some things away and I could give her the rest of her stuff and take care of this mess once and for all. I get there, and she comes to my car and stands there to make the first call we need to make. Goes through the phone menus to talk to someone and hangs up. I said, "What are you doing?" She says, "Sorry," and calls again. Same thing. Goes through phone menus, gets on hold this time, and hangs up. I'm getting pissed at this point, obviously, but she throws a folded up piece of paper quickly into my car before hanging up the second time and says, "Don't touch it. Read it later, okay?" I say, "Yeah, but what about your stuff and the calls we need to make and everything?" She says, "Don't worry about it," and goes back inside. So I drive away and read the note immediately, and it's basically a few sentences saying her mother will be calling me, but do not text or call her for any reason, and it is very important that I do not contact her. So her mother calls me shortly after. Says my ex that morning called her and said she realized she screwed up. The guy is up and down on drugs and controlling her every move, tracking her phone and doesn't want her to leave the house, trying to take her money and get as much as he can from her. Ex wouldn't say anything about physical abuse, but I'm sure there has been some. Her mother says she's going to get the police involved to get her out of there. My ex told her mother to ask if we could have a talk about everything, that she knows she's made a huge mistake and she will go to therapy and do anything it takes for us to get back together. She's been trying to get away from the guy just to make this call for help to her mother for a while now, and Monday was the first chance she got, she said. So like the idiot I am, I agreed to meet her tonight in a parking lot at her friend's apartment complex. She told her affair partner she was going there to be with her friend, and he actually let her go. She was paranoid he would show up. He did not show up, and we talked for an hour about how sorry she is, how she finally came out of the fog and realized how she's ruined her life, and she's scared and stuck with this guy. Doesn't know what to do, and has gone to the doctors and is getting therapy. Wants me to work on things with her while she goes to therapy, so maybe we can get back the great life she now says she realizes we had. Scared to be alone while trying to fix herself without support. I stood firm on my boundaries with her, that this is all her fault, that she caused this, she's hurt me, and I owe her nothing. It's still so hard because I want to believe her, and we did have a good life for a long time. She seems sincere, of course, that she will get help and change, but I can't give in and trust her. It makes you feel like you're the bad one ending the relationship. I need to continue to respect myself and my boundaries and move on, but I also don't want her to be physically harmed. Well, at least good on you for standing strong on what you believe in. And our final story for this episode. Can I call this cheating? My now ex and I just broke up before New Year's because they finally came clean about having strong feelings for their former coworker. It started in October, and I even hosted this other woman on Halloween because my now ex said they had a new and great friendship blossoming, and I was happy because my ex had trouble making friends. Flash forward, and they are texting giant paragraphs late into the night, talking on the phone, something my ex had never done with me even at the beginning, and my ex is helping the other woman with everything in her life. Picking up her car from the shop, running things to her parents. Anytime I would ask my ex what time they would be home, they would get so defensive and flip. Pretty much if I acknowledged anything that was happening, it would get blamed on me being paranoid. Anytime I would question my ex on this, they'd get so defensive, tell me I'm crazy. They even told me that I needed to end my relationship with my mom if I wanted to stay with them because I get my paranoia from my mom. My ex gave my keyboard to the other woman for Christmas and didn't get me anything. I want to clarify that we'd been living together for 2 years, dating for 5. Now that everyone has shaken out and we aren't together, They never admitted to the emotional affair or to any physical cheating, but I know in my gut that my ex cheated. She is now living with the other woman. When people ask me what happened, I have trouble answering because I want to say that my ex cheated, or at least say that they left me for the other woman. But they still, even whole staying with other women, deny that it's anything more than a best friend who they have a crush on. I never snooped the phone or eavesdropped. It's really not my style. But now I have regrets because she is just telling people that we naturally grew apart and it was time for change. And I don't know if I'm allowed to call this person a cheater without hard evidence. Can I call my ex a cheater? So far, all of my friends who know the whole thing agree that this still constitutes an emotional affair at minimum. At this point, does it really matter? Just say what you want about them. But let's see what everybody else thinks down in the comments. Have a good one, y'all.